we're going to start with worse. Who thinks things have gotten worse over the last 50 years? We got one. Okay, one person thinks it's gotten worse. How many people think sort of generally it stayed the same and things aren't much different now in terms of the numbers for poverty worldwide over the past few years? All right, that's most everybody. And the last one, how many people think things have gotten significantly better? This is so interesting. This is this must be an educated group of people because this is a broader, it's usually slanted. Most people think it's gotten worse. Or stayed the same. All right, well, I won't keep you in suspense. These have gotten better, and a lot better. And that's actually, it's a common misunderstanding. It doesn't make the news a lot that things are getting better. News feeds on fear a lot of times, and that's all bad stories. So it's shocking. I've just been educating myself, actually, the past couple of years on this. Just forget the past 50 years, just in the past 30 years. 30 years ago, 36% of the world lived in extreme poverty. Today it's just 9%. So we went from 36% of the world to 9% in just 30 years. Massive progress, unbelievable progress. That's, since 1990, over 1.2 billion people have overcome extreme poverty. That's 1/7 of the globe. So we made incredible progress, and here to tell you all about it is Bill Gates.
In 1960, Americans, people in Western Europe, lived in fairly rich countries. They called them developed, that had very good health. So the number of children who died under 5 was very, very low. So this is us out here. Most people lived in developing countries where the childhood health was so bad that over 25% of the kids in those countries died before they reached the age of 5. And we had the Soviet countries, first world here, second world here, and third world here. Now we've done a lot of invention, a lot of aid to try and help improve this picture. So what does it look like 50 years later? Well, health is dramatically improved. Even in the low-income countries, half as many kids are dying at young age. And most countries have moved into a category I call middle income. We can't think of these as one block of developing countries because now China, Mexico, Brazil, so many are up here. And of course the developed countries are doing even better. But huge progress on health and incomes. And aid generosity has been a big part of it. So it's a myth that we haven't made progress and that aid hasn't helped.
I think that's a lot of, sometimes that's a thought that we have, or a thought a lot of people have that I talk to, or a feeling that we have when we hear about a charitable organization. That's just like, well, we're sort of dumping our time and our energy and our resources and our money into sort of a black hole. It's like maybe we can help this one child, but we're not really making a dent, worldwide on a big scale. The numbers are sort of always going to be the numbers, and the same number of kids are always going to die in poverty. And that's just not true. That's just a total myth. And we're making more progress now, and faster progress now in human history than we ever have. So the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, with all their data, they say that there will be almost no poor countries in the world by 2035. That's only 16 years from now. And they have metrics for what they qualify as a poor country. And the best investments that we can make to help increase the positive change are in the areas of health and education with the youth in Africa, specifically sub-Saharan Africa. So, shockingly, the median age in Africa is 19 and a half years, which is just, it's so young. And what we, if you ask yourself, like, okay, we've got this big problem, we've got a lot of people in poverty, what's the answer? We need leaders. We need young leaders. We need really, really good young leaders. Young leaders stop corruption, promote justice, and improve health and education. So we, Children of the Nations, we started 24 years ago. This is our very first school and home for kids. This is 100 kids we were able to bring in off the street. And Amjay, who's here.
He said he's hungry.
You see a lot of people in this picture.
Where are you?
Where are you? I tried to find you when I was preparing this presentation.
You're in the bathroom.
And so we started with 100 children 24 years ago in one country. Today we work in 5 countries in the world, and we work with about 5,000 kids on a daily basis. So we're in Sierra Leone, Malawi, Uganda, and Africa, and then we're in the Dominican Republic and Haiti in the Caribbean. And we do holistic long-term crisis center care. So that means that we build full-time care children's homes for children who are double orphans and no one to care for them. We build farms that produces local food. We build medical clinics to provide medical care. We build schools and hire and train teachers to provide quality Christian education. We do that holistic care approach. And what we're really after is that complete whole life change for these kids that have, some of them have lost everything because of war or AIDS or extreme poverty. And the best way that I can probably show you, at least from some of our early kids that Amjay knows very well, the best way I can probably show you what we're after, that complete whole life change, is to show you some before and after pictures of some of the kids. I know all these kids. This is Adamse, and this is before we brought her into our program in Sierra Leone. She was lost, alone, afraid. If you guys have ever read anything about the war in Sierra Leone, it was horrific, devastating. If you've seen the movie Blood Diamonds, you know, a lot of that stuff. Worse things happened. I mean, it was terrible. After being just with us for a year and a half, that's the same girl. And you can just see the lights come back into her eyes. She's playing in the yard. I mean, she's happy. Her clothes are clean. She's in school. So, and then this was me in 2009 with her, becoming friends. She's growing up, and then she just, you know, blossoms into this healthy, just vibrant young girl, just with this fiery spirit. Very fiery. So I'm doing this. I have to be careful about what I say because I got a fact check. But I was there, so the last time I was there was 2013, and right when I got off the bus, she was right there. And grabbed my hand first thing and walking down to the children's home. And I don't know what her future looks like, but I know it's bright, and I'm so excited for her. That's just one example. This is Julius Amara. When he came to us, he was dying. He was severely malnourished. He had puffy belly, puffy face. His skin was yellow. We couldn't even start him on solid food. Our nursing staff had to do an IV, and then they could do just milk from a spoon. And then slowly started him on protein, and he started to improve. He started to walk around our campus a little bit, out of the medical clinic, and then he got a nickname. He started making friends, and he would get a Bible and he would hold it up really high and march around our campus, announcing that he was going to be hosting a Bible study in 5 minutes. and then all the kids would come down, and he would crack open the Bible and he would host Bible study. So they call him Little Pastor, and just Pastor. So no one calls him Julius anymore; they just call him Pastor. So this is me with him in 2013, and again he is just growing strong and has a bright future ahead. And he's one of those kids, you know, Adamse and Julius are kids that really could have died. They could have died if we hadn't found them and been able to help them. This is Margaret. Again, kind of during the war was ending, right before we brought her into our program. I took this picture of her. We were taking school pictures when I was there in 2005. And then she just grew up. As you parents know, time flies. And all of a sudden, your kids get older, and she's just this healthy, happy, vibrant young woman. And I got to take my wife to Sierra Leone in 2015. So this is my wife, and this is Margaret teaching her how to make groundnut cake. So they're preparing the groundnut. My wife loves to cook in the kitchen. So, and Margaret's our sponsor, so we've sponsored her for years and years and years. And when she writes letters to us, she always signs her letters. Your lovely daughter, Margaret Gunnar Rasliff. Our last name is Rasliff. So I almost always cry when I get her letters. And I read that. Well, we got to spend a bunch of time with her, and we really just consider her a part of our family. Consider her a daughter. So she's studying to become a nurse right now. This is Margaret today. She just posted this on Facebook. She doesn't know I'm showing her tonight, but I am. And she's studying to become a nurse, and she's just become this bright young woman with this bright future. And we're really happy for her. This is another example in the Dominican Republic. So many boys drop out of school to pursue baseball, and then they injure themselves or they use steroids, and they don't get signed. Only 1% get signed to a farm team, and then they're left with no job skills, no degree, no hope. A lot of them join gangs, a lot of them just steal. Dilson was one of those boys. He came to our program, our baseball program, and then as a boy, and then just overnight seems like he's just a man. And I didn't even plan this, but when I visited him in his home, we took this picture. This is his graduation photo from high school up in the upper right. And it's the highest thing in his house, the whole house. His family's so proud. First graduate from his whole family line to have a high school degree. And he wants to go into sports medicine, and he can now because he has a degree. And actually the Marlins actually invited him out to look at him for about 6 days. And he thought, this is it, I'm going to get signed, and then he didn't. But he can now he has the opportunity to go into sports medicine. Which is really, really amazing. Last one, before and after, is Tika. This is a really, really tough story. This is in Malawi, which by some metrics is considered the poorest country in the world. Tika was living in what we call a childhood household. So there were 4 children, lost their parents. The father abandoned the family long ago, and the mother died of AIDS, which is very common in that country. They call it the orphan nation. And so the oldest was 12, and basically she was just trying to find food and water for her younger siblings. They're all just had one set of clothing, no shoes. And the community contacted the government contacted us, we came out and investigated, and we were able to bring actually all 4 kids and keep them together and bring them into our program in Malawi. And just 1 year, guys, 1 year later, that's what she looks like. And it's just like a different person to me. I mean, it doesn't even look like the same kid. You know, you can just see like her skin tone has changed because she's getting vitamins and she's getting protein, and just like the sparks come back into her eyes, and she's a gal in our church made these outfits, so she's trying on this new outfit, so she's kind of posing for the camera. And this is the kind of stuff that just lights me up. Like, I just get so excited when I see transformation like this. If you think about what a child in extreme poverty needs, if you think about what any kid needs, what do your kids need? They need everything, right? They need the love of mom and dad. They need community, aunts, uncles, friends, a church. They need full-time quality education. They need vaccines. They need health care. They need good food every day. I mean, kids need everything. So what we do is, as an organization, we'd rather be an inch wide and a mile deep with the kids that are the most desperate. Because if you just, we work with about 5,000 kids every day. We could work with about 25,000 kids every day if we were just going into villages and sort of dropping off food and having kids like read some Bible verses and be like, all right, see you later. But that doesn't help in a deep, lasting way. Like, what these kids need is an incredible investment, absolutely, over years. But when you do that, when you work with a family, it's a typical family in Ohio, these kids are slightly malnourished, they're not in school. When we can sponsor those kids, bring them to the program, and they get into the classroom, this amazing thing happens. You give that investment to a child. It's actually part of our strategy, because the kids that come from the deepest hardship develop this extra ability to overcome obstacles that propel them into leadership positions later in life. So the kid that's 6, 7, 8 years old that comes into our program, I mean, they remember what life was like on the streets. And they're blown away that they have a bed that's called their own, that they have a pillow, that they have food, people that will care for them. They can go to school. Like, these kids are dying to go to school. They want that school uniform so that their minds are just hungry to learn. They want to be in that classroom. And when you give a child like that opportunity, they will work 3, 4 times as hard as a kid from the middle class or a kid in the upper class. And so later in life, when a big challenge comes along, a big challenge that looks maybe scary to somebody like you or me, where it's like, well, I want to get out of my comfort zone for that. I'm actually fine over here. They will look at that and they say, well, I was finding food for my brother on the street when I was 6. If I can do that, I can do this. And what that leads to is a lot of kids come from extreme poverty and difficult circumstances end up being leaders in the community, actually CEOs of businesses, starting their own business. They kind of develop this fearlessness. And that's what we need. We need young leaders who are educated, who know Christ, who are healthy, who understand the local culture, and who are driven to give back. And so many of the kids understand what they've been given, and they want to give back. They want to pour back into their communities. A lot of kids who go to other schools, they want to escape to Europe or the States because the corruption and poverty is so bad. The kids in our school, we work so hard with them, and they just grow up and they want to pour back into the communities that they came from. So that's our strategy, and that's what we do. Never has there been a better time to be involved in charity anywhere in the world. Like, there's so much money, and again, it doesn't make the news, but it's amazing. So here's a financial snapshot of our organization. We're just about to come out with our 2018 numbers, but these numbers are from 2017. We had about $8.5 million in revenue. We're 24 years old, and that's our income. And then here's how we spend it. It's all on the kids. That's where our heart is. Almost 85% goes to children's programs, projects, and development. Here's just some numbers from what we did last year. You can see close to 10,000 people medically assisted in our clinics, 3,660 kids fed daily, almost over 250,000 pounds of food produced in the country, over 13,000 volunteer hours. Really, really cool stuff. I am so fired up about this work because I've met the kids and I've sat with them and I've learned their stories, and we actually have one of those kids here with us tonight, and most of you have already met him, and he's going to share a little bit of his story. Please welcome Jay.
Good evening. Again, I'm in Charlotte, but I go by Jay because it's easy to pronounce. For here, technically. So anyways, I was living with my uncle. I was quite at the age of 9 as a result of the civil war in Sierra Leone. So I was living with my uncle and 2 brothers. And for the whole day, what we have to do is go to the field, walk, and come back home. It's like a bowl of rice. And I was the youngest of 3, and almost every single time I don't get enough to eat. And so every single day, my job is to get something to eat. Go to the neighbors, try to walk around, try to do something so that I can get something to eat. And technically, COTM came into my life and just changed my whole life. If you see me before COTM, I had no hope. You know, I was hopeless. I didn't think of nothing just to get something to eat and survive for that particular day. That was the whole thing I had to do. And this was the day that COTM came and took a picture and he said, we want to sponsor somebody. And then this was me. And this was how I was. And I'm not ashamed to post this picture anywhere because this is where God took me for through COTM and sponsors and people that donate. And then as time goes on, I came into COTM. They gave me a new life with people that loved me. You understand? I don't even know how my parents look like. I don't even know their faces. But then COTM came into my life and gave me people that loved me, gave me quality education, gave me enough food. I ate my first week in COTM, I ate up to the point that I couldn't walk. There was enough food for me, and I just couldn't get enough of it. I continued eating, and of course, you gotta stop this. I just continued it, but technically, COTM came, and they really changed my life and gave me hope. And that is, and through COTM, I'm able to smile. I'm able to hope for the future because of people like you and what COTM did for me. And this is like 2003, 2007 technically. I came to COTM in 2003. That was when I was rescued from where I was. And this is me. I was always happy. I was always singing around. The first week was really tough. I missed my brothers, but then that was full, you know. So I was really grateful that I get to go to school. I always wanted to go to school even when I was with my uncle. I see this kids in there. I was so, I just want to be in that position to go to school. And COTM gave me that. And I was so happy. I go to school, and even when school finishes, I stay there just because I can go to school. And then finally, I continued and finished my senior secondary school. And COTM was able to send me to university. This is my Facebook smile, by the way. And through COTM, I'm able to smile like this. Through COTM, because of people like you, people that come in and invest in our lives, I'm able to have hope. When I came into COTM, I was happy just finishing in high school. Just finishing high school was enough for me. I was grateful that I was able to finish high school. But then he said, we can send you to college. And then I started college in Sierra Leone, in Freetown. I was so happy. I was so studious. If you can see me, how happy I was. Every single day, I don't miss classes. I even stay more than the time. And then finally, they told me, you have an opportunity for you to study in the United States. And I couldn't believe that. Even when I'm here, I still cannot believe that I am here. That's how grateful I am. Even if I have 1,000 tons, even if I have 1,000 tons, it still will not be enough to thank God for COTM, for what COTM has done for me. I am so grateful for this opportunity that I am able to go to school. and get enough. Just imagine I'm getting everything and I'm still like this. Just imagine if I wasn't getting enough food, if I wasn't eating enough, if I wasn't, I don't know, I don't think I will make it up to this time. So every single time when I think about how far God has brought me through COT, I am so much grateful. And I told them I'm ready to do whatever it is. I'm going to work twice as hard. And when I came here, I was staying with the Packers, and they are trying to make sure everything is good for me. I'm like, listen.
He was staying at the hotel, like the host family.
Yeah, I was staying with the Packers. And they were hosting me, and every 2 3 hours, Brian would come in. I'm sure I'll be eating, I'm sure I'll be this, and I'm like, I'm good. Thank you. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I can say thanks, to every single person that has made this possible in my life. And finishing high school was just enough for me. But coming here, this is exceptional. This is unbelievable. Every time I talk to the staff in Seattle, Washington, I still tell them, look, I can't believe that I'm in the United States. I still cannot believe. But one thing keeps bringing me on point, that is the cold. Always when I feel cold, yeah, I'm not here. I'm here. So I'm really grateful to God for this opportunity. And because of COT, I'm able to dream. I'm able to think of. I'm able to think that there is a way that I can become something better than I am because of the intervention of COT. If it wasn't for COT, my education would have stopped at grade 3, in grade 3. And the only job I can get from that is even cleaning floors now, you need a better education in Seattle, even cleaning floors. So I will just do these things and I don't want to get into that. I'm just grateful that God gave me this opportunity to be educated. This is what's to me. And I want to end by thanking you all for coming. And I feel privileged to meet you, to meet each and every one of you. And thank you all for having me.
So you guys got the invitation tonight from Scott and Scott and Laura and Richard Vanessa, and this is not a fundraiser, but if you guys want to know how you can be involved, please come talk to me afterwards. Brought some information to share if you guys are interested in that. We do have a big focus right now of working on getting some more university scholarships so we can send some more students like Andre to college. And it's a no big deal. It's pennies on the dollar from what it costs to send somebody to college here. So I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your schedules to come out and learn about this organization. I will be around afterwards. Andre will be around afterwards if you guys have questions or if you want to know more. Thank you.